right, we have Kevin Davidson with us. Kevin coming off the year where he continued the line of success of Princeton quarterbacks, starting his senior year throwing for more than 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and completing 67% of his passes. And now Kevin's getting ready for NFL draft weekend and hoping to take his talents to the next level. Kevin, thanks for coming. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
What's draft preparation been like for you? How have things been going since we last saw you on the field in the end of November?
It's been, really busy, especially before this whole pandemic, has really hit everyone pretty hard. But obviously started with the East-West Shrine game right after, in early January. And then, that really helped me get the invite to the NFL Combine, which was, a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people and was really blessed to be a part of that. And then actually got my pro day in pretty much the day before pro days nationwide got shut down. So I was, very thankful to Princeton for, letting us continue to go through with that. It helped a lot of my teammates who, are going to have a great chance at the NFL as well. And I think we put on a good showing.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of the highlights that, so many guys dream of being part of, the East-West Shrine game and the Combine. Let's start with the East-West Shrine game. What did you learn from those coaching staffs and from some of the other players that you brushed shoulders with throughout the course of that week?
Yeah, so the NFL actually sends coaches down to the East-West Shrine game from teams around the country that they think have upward mobility. So the offensive coordinator for the East team was Marcus Brady, who is the quarterback coach for the Colts, and it was awesome to learn from him all week. He taught us a lot about what goes into an NFL playbook. He came from Canada, so he's innovating some of the Canadian schemes into the NFL, and obviously he's had a lot of success with the Colts. And then just being around players from different teams. Actually was next to a guy at one of the lunches who played for Oklahoma State, and he was with my old offensive coordinator down there. So we joked around a little bit about Coach Gleason and how he really enjoyed Oklahoma State. And it was just a very fantastic experience.
Then you get that Combine invite, and that's an even more selective list. You get to throw, you get to do all the other drills, plus you have all the meetings with coaches, scouts, personnel. What was it like to be there, and was there a moment where all of a sudden you realized, holy cow, I'm really close to accomplishing achieving a dream that I've been working toward when you were surrounded by so many other great players?
Yeah, I grew up watching the Combine every single year from the time I think I was like 5 years old. I used to just stream online. You kind of had to figure it out on your computer and you could watch. And this year it became primetime. But both the East-West Shrine game and the Combine, people really only see the one day, but it's really a full week of work. And like you mentioned, meetings with scouts and coaches and general managers. And the Combine also had 2 days of medicals where you could go to the hospital, you get MRIs or whatever teams want to see, and you get a full 7-hour eval of your body and tests you didn't even know existed, and they're just checking every box. And so that was extensive, kept us really busy. And then at night, there's a full 3-hour section of interviews with coaches. So I felt like I took advantage of the opportunity and, had a great day out there with some great players.
I know you had scouts come into your practice even back when you were playing at Princeton. And then as you've continued the process talking to, front office personnel over the past few months, what do you think it is? What do you hear are the biggest strengths and maybe the biggest assets that you could bring to an organization at the next level?
Yeah, there's a few things that I've heard. First is just my arm strength and accuracy combination. They're really impressed with that and think I, hang with some of the first round guys in that regard. And also just my pocket presence and willingness to stay in the pocket, take a hit, and still deliver the ball down the field is something they really liked on film. And then another kind of less obvious positive that they brought up was the fact that I sat behind 2 great players at Princeton and was a backup for 3 years. And you're not going to go into an NFL team unless you're in, first round or first overall like Burrow and start right away. So you have to learn how to be a backup and how to support the starter as well as grow in your personal development. and push to become the backup and then become the starter. So that's something that they were like, hey, you've been through this, you've been behind players that set records and supported them, and then you became a great player yourself. So that's something that they say I can do well at the next level.
Yeah, I was actually going to head there next because you might have started on all the other Ivy League teams throughout the course of your career, or at least a couple more years, but you were behind back-to-back Ivy Offensive Players of the Year and guys like Chad Kanoff and John Lovett. What did you learn from them at Princeton? And on top of that, they're guys who've gone through this process of trying to play at the next level. John's obviously at the next level right now. Did they have any advice for you as you approached your post-senior season heading into draft time?
Yeah, we talked a lot even throughout the season. I was the guy who would push them during practice and just want them to be the best players they could be. But then ever since they left, and we've become really close and talk quite often, and they've been tremendously helpful, from picking an agent to what the whole process is going to feel like, be like. And that they both mentioned how Princeton prepares you really well for all the pressure and everything that's going to be involved with this road.
And it's not just athletic pressure. Obviously, there's the academic pressure of being in your final semester at Princeton as well. So I heard that when you were at the East-West Shrine game, that was during finals, right? Like you had to take finals down there, and then throughout the course of all the other pre-draft work, you're also writing your senior thesis right now, right?
Yeah. So down in Tampa, I actually took a test that was proctored by a Princeton alum who works for the Rays, which is where our practices in the game was in their stadium. So I took it up there in the executive office, and it was Friday morning from I think 9 to noon, and then the game was the next day. So just really thankful that the deans were able to figure that out, and we were able to take that and not interrupt a great week that I think is really going to help me in the future.
And what's your thesis on that you've been writing throughout the course of this spring as well?
Yeah, so it's due on Friday. It is on David Petraeus, who was a 4-star general and then the director of the CIA, and his kind of ascension up the ranks and how he became such a great leader and made such a great impact in the Middle East, and figured out some very, very tough situations and turned them into positives, and got the locals organized and on the train of the kind of the new Middle East and what his picture was. So it's been great. I've actually been able to email back and forth to them, asking him questions, and he's been the primary source for most of the thesis.
And you said it's due this Friday?
Due this Friday.
So this would have been a pretty big week, even if you didn't have all the NFL draft stuff coming up then, huh?
Right. Yeah, I actually I drove back from so right after my pro day, I drove to packed up my room at Princeton because they were evicting us, and got out to Minneapolis, where my girlfriend's from, and we stayed there and got actually a government test because there was a bunch of kids at Princeton that were confirmed cases. So we wanted to make sure we were tested before we went and saw her family. We stayed there for about a month, and then the past couple of days we drove back to California. So we stopped in Montana and then Lake Tahoe, and Davidson alum up in Lake Tahoe, and now we're back in Danville. So it's been a really hectic week, especially with the thesis coming up. But I'm pretty much wrapped up and just have some finishing touches, so I'm not feeling too stressed about it.
Great. You obviously just mentioned a lot of the hoops that you've had to jump through along with everybody else in America and most of the world due to COVID-19 and social distancing. How has that affected, what you would have planned in terms of pre-draft, like strength prep and just continuing to improve as an athlete, because it's been hard to, find facilities like gyms and things like that are open?
Yeah, it's been a little bit tough, but I've always been taught by my parents to adapt to all situations. You have little control over a lot of the things that happen in this world, so you just got to learn to adapt. And most of my trainers are in New Jersey. I've been up near New York City that I've been training with all off season. But once I went out to Minnesota, we were up near a lake. There was great hiking trails. There's a lot of workout equipment at the house, and a lot of my workouts don't involve a lot of equipment anyway, so I was able to get rolling on that and stay in tremendous shape. So you never know. I mean, after the draft, you're usually heading out to your whatever team picks you. So I knew that time is now. There's no time to slack, and you just got to adjust and be ready to go.
what are your plans for this draft weekend? And, do you have any particular expectations kind of going into the weekend?
Yeah, not a lot of expectations. I'm going to talk to my agents later in the week, and they're going to give me a rundown of what they're hearing. But I'm excited. I'm with my family now and haven't seen them for a while. My dad actually came out to my pro day, but besides my dad, I haven't seen my brothers and my mom in a while. So it's great to be back together with everyone. And I think my grandparents might come over. And but yeah, as far as expectations, I don't really have any, whether drafted or a free agent. I think I'm going to break expectations regardless of where I go, and I'm just excited for that moment.
All right, and then finally, I heard at the Combine you ended up just alphabetically spending a whole lot of time with the guy who's likely going to be the number one pick in the draft on Thursday night, Joe Burrow, right?
Right, yeah. He was a great guy. We talked quite a bit just because we were right next to each other the whole week and in the order. And Justin Herbert was also a guy that was just an awesome kid, and we've kind of stayed in touch through this process and been like, hey, how have you been adjusting through this? No, it's crazy. And he was training down in Orange County, and now he's back up in Oregon. So great people, and I think guys that'll definitely stay in touch with through the years.
All right, Tevin, well, we wish you the best of luck. It's been great following your progress over the last few years. Stay safe and enjoy the weekend. Good luck wrapping up the thesis as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.